Have you ever wondered why certain people drain your energy while others instantly feel like home? Why some individuals seem to navigate life with an almost supernatural intuition while others struggle against invisible forces they can't name? The truth is, there's something flowing through your veins right now that Carl Jung discovered holds the key to understanding not just your personality, but your deepest psychological patterns, your hidden fears, and even your soul's purpose. Most people believe blood type only matters for medical emergencies. They're wrong. What no one tells you is that your blood carries ancient archetypal information that shapes every relationship you'll ever have, every decision you'll make, and every challenge you'll face. Jung spent decades studying the collective unconscious, and what he found will shatter everything you think you know about yourself. Your blood type isn't just about biology, it's about psychological destiny. Right now, as you're watching this, your blood is carrying messages that determine whether you're living as your authentic self or trapped in patterns that keep you small. And if you've ever felt like you don't quite fit in, like you're different from everyone around you, like you're carrying some ancient knowledge that others can't access, you're not imagining it. The research is undeniable. The psychological patterns are consistent across cultures and centuries. And what you're about to discover will explain why your relationships follow certain patterns, why you make the same mistakes, and why some paths in life feel effortless while others feel like swimming upstream. Subscribe right now if you're ready to uncover the hidden truths about yourself that society doesn't want you to know. Your blood type has been trying to tell you something your entire life. Today you finally learn what it's been saying. Here's what researchers have discovered that will change everything you believe about human nature. Your blood type carries archetypal patterns that Jung identified as fundamental to human consciousness. These patterns don't just influence your preferences, they shape your entire psychological architecture. You know that feeling when you meet someone and instantly know whether they'll be a friend or enemy? That's not intuition. That's your blood type recognizing archetypal compatibility at a cellular level. Jung called this the collective unconscious speaking through biological markers. Most people dismiss blood type personality theory as pseudoscience. But here's what they're missing. Jung's work wasn't about blood types themselves, it was about how archetypal patterns manifest in every aspect of human existence, including our biology. When Japanese researcher Masahiko Nomi began studying blood type personalities in the 1970s, he wasn't creating a new system. He was rediscovering ancient wisdom that Jung had already mapped in the human psyche. The uncomfortable truth is that your blood type reveals psychological patterns you've been trying to hide, even from yourself. It exposes the shadow aspects of your personality that you've learned to suppress, the archetypal fears that drive your worst decisions, and the authentic power you've been afraid to claim. Have you ever noticed how certain people seem to effortlessly attract what they want while others struggle for everything? Like if you felt this way about your own life. Your blood type explains why some people naturally command respect while others constantly seek approval. Why some individuals seem to know exactly what to say in any situation while others always feel like they're speaking a foreign language. Why some people create lasting relationships while others repeat the same painful patterns. This isn't about fate or destiny, it's about understanding the psychological operating system you were born with. Jung discovered that we each carry archetypal patterns that determine how we process information, make decisions, and connect with others. Your blood type is one of the most reliable indicators of which archetypal patterns dominate your psyche. The research is staggering. Studies across multiple cultures show consistent personality patterns based on blood type. In Japan, they've been using this knowledge for decades to optimize team dynamics, improve relationships, and predict career success. But in Western culture, we've been taught to ignore this profound psychological insight. Here's what no one wants you to know. Understanding your blood type personality isn't just about self-awareness, it's about reclaiming psychological power that society has taught you to give away. When you understand your archetypal patterns, you stop trying to be someone you're not and start leveraging your natural psychological strengths. But there's something darker here. Something that explains why this knowledge has been dismissed and marginalized. When people understand their true psychological nature, they become harder to manipulate. They stop accepting roles that don't fit their authentic self. They start making choices based on their own psychological truth rather than external expectations. The establishment doesn't want you to know this because authentic people are harder to control. They want you confused about your nature so you'll keep seeking external validation instead of trusting your own psychological wisdom. If you've ever felt like you're living someone else's life, If you've ever wondered why certain things feel effortless for others but impossible for you, you're about to understand why. Your blood type holds the key to understanding not just who you are, but who you're meant to become. And what you're about to discover will explain every relationship pattern, every career struggle, and every moment of self-doubt you've ever experienced. The truth about your psychological nature is written in your blood. And Jung's framework gives us the key to decode it. If you're type O, you carry the warrior archetype in your blood. This isn't metaphorical, it's psychological reality backed by Jung's research into the collective unconscious. Type O individuals represent approximately 45% of the population, and they carry the oldest archetypal patterns in human psychology. The warrior archetype manifests as natural leadership, but here's what most people don't understand. Your leadership isn't about dominating others. It's about taking responsibility for protecting and advancing your tribe. Jung identified this as the protective authority pattern. You're psychologically wired to see threats before others do and take action to prevent harm. But society has taught type O individuals to suppress their warrior nature. You've been told that being assertive is aggressive, that taking charge is controlling, that trusting your instincts is impulsive. This creates a psychological split that Jung called archetypal suppression. When you deny your authentic nature, you begin expressing it in shadow forms. The shadow warrior becomes either overly aggressive or completely passive. You either bulldoze through situations without considering others' feelings, or you suppress your natural authority so completely that you become resentful and bitter. Neither expression serves your authentic self. People like us understand what it feels like to be misunderstood when you're trying to protect or lead others. Here's the profound truth about type O psychology. You're not meant to follow systems that don't make sense to you. Your brain is wired to question authority, to trust your gut over external experts, to prioritize practical results over theoretical frameworks. This isn't stubbornness, it's evolutionary wisdom. Research shows that type O individuals have higher levels of dopamine sensitivity, which means you're naturally driven to seek achievement and take risks. But modern society tries to force you into passive roles that contradict your neurological makeup. This creates chronic stress, relationship conflicts, and a sense of being trapped in the wrong life. The warrior archetype also explains your relationship patterns. You're attracted to partners who need protection or guidance, but you're simultaneously drawn to those who can match your strength. This creates a complex dynamic where you need someone who can stand up to you while also allowing you to express your protective nature. Your deepest fear isn't failure, it's being ineffective. You can handle losing a battle, but you can't handle feeling like your efforts don't matter. This drives you to take on too much responsibility, to solve problems that aren't yours to solve, to carry burdens that others should carry themselves. But here's the archetypal gift that Jung identified. When type O individuals embrace their warrior nature authentically, they become the leaders that others naturally want to follow. Not because you demand obedience, but because you create safety for others to express their authentic selves. The psychological challenge for type O is learning to channel warrior energy constructively. This means developing what Jung called conscious leadership, using your natural authority to empower others rather than control them. It means recognizing that your protective instincts are valuable but need to be expressed with wisdom. Your blood is telling you to stop apologizing for being strong, to stop dimming your natural intensity to make others comfortable. The world needs authentic warriors now more than ever. But not the shadow warriors who dominate through force or manipulation. The world needs conscious warriors who understand that true strength comes from helping others discover their own power. When you align with your warrior archetype, everything changes. Your relationships become more authentic because you stop trying to be someone you're not. Your career becomes more satisfying because you pursue roles that utilize your natural leadership abilities. Your self-confidence increases because you're no longer fighting against your own nature. The research is clear. Type O individuals who embrace their warrior archetype report higher life satisfaction, better relationships, and greater career success. But those who suppress their warrior nature experience higher rates of anxiety, depression, and relationship conflicts. This isn't about becoming more aggressive or domineering. It's about recognizing that your natural intensity, your protective instincts, and your leadership abilities are gifts that the world needs. When you honor your warrior nature, you give others permission to honor their authentic selves too. Tell me in the comments, have you been suppressing your warrior nature? What would change if you stopped apologizing for being strong? If you're type A, You carry the perfectionist archetype, what Jung called the guardian of order. This isn't about being controlling or obsessive. It's about being psychologically wired to perceive patterns, maintain harmony, and create beauty in the world around you. Type A individuals represent about 40% of the population, and they carry the collective unconscious patterns of what Jung identified as the cultivator, the part of humanity responsible for creating civilization, art, and social structures that allow communities to thrive. But here's what society has gotten wrong about Type A psychology. Your perfectionism isn't about unrealistic standards. It's about having a nervous system that's naturally attuned to disharmony. You literally feel chaos in your body when things are out of order. This isn't neurosis, it's evolutionary sensitivity. The perfectionist archetype manifests as an innate understanding of how things should work. You see inefficiencies that others miss. You notice when social dynamics are off balance. You're sensitive to environmental factors that others ignore. This makes you incredibly valuable in creating functional systems and beautiful experiences. But modern society has pathologized your perfectionist nature. You've been told that caring about details is obsessive, that wanting things done properly is controlling, that being sensitive to your environment is being high maintenance. This creates what Jung called archetypal shame. You begin to believe that your natural psychological strengths are actually weaknesses. You know that feeling when everyone else seems comfortable with good enough, but you can see exactly what needs to be fixed or improved. The shadow perfectionist becomes either paralyzed by impossibly high standards or completely gives up and becomes chaotic. You either spend so much time trying to perfect things that you never complete them, or you rebel against your own nature and create unnecessary disorder in your life. Research shows that Type A individuals have higher cortisol sensitivity, which means you're more aware of stress and more motivated to resolve it. But instead of recognizing this as a gift, you've been taught to see it as anxiety. Your nervous system isn't broken. It's highly calibrated to detect and correct problems. The perfectionist archetype also explains your relationship patterns. You're attracted to partners who appreciate your attention to detail and your desire to create beautiful experiences together. But you're also drawn to those who can help you relax your standards when perfectionism becomes self-defeating. Your deepest fear isn't making mistakes. It's creating chaos or harm through carelessness. You'd rather spend extra time getting something right than risk causing problems for others. This drives you to over-prepare, to check and double-check, to anticipate problems before they occur. But here's the archetypal gift that Jung identified. When Type A individuals embrace their perfectionist nature authentically, they become the creators of beauty and order that make life meaningful for everyone. Not because you impose your standards on others, but because you create environments where excellence naturally emerges. The psychological challenge for Type A is learning to channel perfectionist energy wisely. This means developing what Jung called conscious cultivation, using your natural attention to detail to create value rather than to avoid criticism. It means recognizing that your sensitivity to disharmony is a gift that needs to be honored, not suppressed. Your blood is telling you to stop apologizing for caring about quality, to stop pretending that good enough is good enough for you. The world needs authentic perfectionists now more than ever. But not the shadow perfectionists who become paralyzed by impossible standards or critical of others' efforts. The world needs conscious perfectionists who understand that true excellence comes from helping others see the beauty in doing things well. When you align with your perfectionist archetype, everything transforms. Your relationships become more fulfilling because you stop trying to lower your standards to match others' expectations. Your work becomes more satisfying because you pursue roles that utilize your natural attention to detail. Your self-worth increases because you're no longer ashamed of caring about quality. The research is compelling. Type A individuals who embrace their perfectionist archetype report higher creative satisfaction, better long-term relationships, and greater sense of purpose. But those who suppress their perfectionist nature experience higher rates of frustration, resentment, and feeling undervalued. Share in the comments. Have you been told you're too picky or too sensitive? What would change if you honored your natural standards instead of lowering them? If you're Type B, you carry the creative archetype, what Jung called the innovator of possibilities. This isn't about being artistic or unconventional. It's about having a psychological structure that's naturally oriented toward seeing connections others miss and generating solutions that haven't been tried before. Type B individuals represent about 11% of the population, making you one of the rarest psychological types. You carry the collective unconscious patterns of what Jung identified as the bridge builder, the part of humanity responsible for connecting different ideas, cultures, and ways of being. But here's what most people don't understand about Type B psychology. Your flexibility isn't about being indecisive or unreliable. It's about having a nervous system that's naturally attuned to multiple possibilities simultaneously. You literally see options and connections that others can't perceive. This isn't inconsistency, it's evolutionary adaptability. The creative archetype manifests as an innate ability to synthesize disparate elements into new forms. You naturally think outside existing frameworks. You're comfortable with ambiguity and uncertainty. You can hold multiple contradictory ideas simultaneously and find the truth that bridges them. But society has misunderstood your creative nature. You've been labeled as unfocused, unreliable, or uncommitted when you're actually demonstrating psychological sophistication that most people can't access. Your ability to adapt and change isn't weakness, it's advanced cognitive flexibility. People like us understand what it feels like to be called scattered when you're actually seeing connections that others miss. The shadow creative becomes either chaotically impulsive or rigidly conformist. You either change directions so frequently that you never develop depth, or you suppress your natural adaptability and become trapped in structures that don't fit your psychological nature. Research shows that Type B individuals have unique dopamine and serotonin patterns that create natural resilience and optimism. You're biologically wired to see possibilities rather than problems, to find solutions rather than dwell on obstacles. But modern society often interprets this as being unrealistic or not serious enough. The creative archetype also explains your relationship patterns. You're attracted to partners who appreciate your flexibility and your ability to see multiple perspectives. But you also need those who can provide some stability and structure to balance your natural adaptability. Your deepest fear isn't failure. It's being trapped in rigid systems that don't allow for growth or change. You can handle setbacks and challenges, but you can't handle environments that demand conformity to methods that don't make sense to you. But here's the archetypal gift that Jung identified. When Type B individuals embrace their creative nature authentically, they become the innovators who solve problems that others can't even see. Not because you reject all structure, but because you create new structures that work better for everyone. The psychological challenge for Type B is learning to channel creative energy effectively. This means developing what Jung called conscious innovation, using your natural adaptability to create lasting value rather than just avoiding commitment. It means recognizing that your ability to see multiple possibilities is a gift that needs direction, not suppression. Your blood is telling you to stop apologizing for being different, to stop forcing yourself into rigid structures that kill your natural creativity. The world needs authentic creatives now more than ever. But not the shadow creatives who avoid commitment or change just for the sake of change. The world needs conscious creatives who understand that true innovation comes from combining flexibility with purposeful action. When you align with your creative archetype, everything shifts. Your relationships become more authentic because you stop trying to be more predictable than you naturally are. Your career becomes more fulfilling because you pursue roles that utilize your natural adaptability and problem-solving abilities. Your self-confidence increases because you're no longer trying to fit into boxes that were never meant for you. The research is fascinating. Type B individuals who embrace their creative archetype report higher innovation scores, better stress management, and greater life satisfaction. But those who suppress their creative nature experience higher rates of anxiety, depression, and feeling trapped. Tell me in the comments, have you been forcing yourself to be more conventional than you naturally are? What would you create if you stopped apologizing for being different? If you're Type AB, you carry the mystic archetype, what Jung called the integrator of opposites. This isn't about being spiritual or otherworldly. It's about having a psychological structure that naturally synthesizes contradictory elements and sees the deeper patterns that connect all things. Type AB individuals represent only 4% of the population, making you the rarest psychological type. You carry the collective unconscious patterns of what Jung identified as the wise counselor, the part of humanity responsible for understanding complexity, mediating conflicts, and seeing the bigger picture that others miss. But here's what society has completely misunderstood about Type AB psychology. Your complexity isn't about being contradictory or unpredictable. It's about having a nervous system that's naturally attuned to multiple levels of reality simultaneously. You literally perceive nuances and subtleties that others can't access. This isn't confusion, it's evolutionary sophistication. The mystic archetype manifests as an innate ability to hold paradox without needing to resolve it. You can see how opposing viewpoints are both true. You're comfortable with mystery and ambiguity. You understand that life's most important truths can't be reduced to simple formulas. But the world has pathologized your mystic nature. You've been called indecisive when you're actually seeing the complexity that others miss. You've been labeled as too sensitive when you're demonstrating psychological awareness that most people can't access. Your ability to perceive multiple layers of truth isn't weakness, it's advanced consciousness. You know that feeling when everyone else wants simple answers but you can see that the real truth is much more complex and beautiful? The shadow mystic becomes either paralyzed by complexity or retreats into isolation. You either become so overwhelmed by seeing all sides of every situation that you can't make decisions, or you withdraw from the world because it feels too chaotic and demanding. Research shows that type AB individuals have unique brain patterns that create natural empathy and intuition. You're biologically wired to understand others' perspectives and to see connections that aren't obvious. But modern society often interprets this as being too emotional or not logical enough. The transformation isn't about changing who you are, it's about becoming who you've always been beneath the layers of conditioning and expectations. Your blood has been carrying this archetypal wisdom your entire life. Now you finally have the key to decode its message. As you begin to recognize your patterns, you'll notice how your relationships, career choices, and life challenges all reflect your archetypal nature. You'll understand why certain situations energize you while others drain you, why some people instantly understand you while others never will, why some paths feel effortless while others feel like swimming upstream. This knowledge doesn't excuse your behavior or limit your choices. Instead, it gives you the psychological framework to make better decisions, build better relationships, and create a life that honors your authentic nature. The next step is to start noticing how your blood type archetype shows up in your daily life and begin making choices that align with your authentic psychological nature. Your blood type has been trying to tell you something profound about your psychological nature your entire life. Today you've finally learned how to listen. But understanding your archetype is just the beginning. The real transformation happens when you begin to live from this awareness. When you stop apologizing for your natural psychological patterns and start leveraging them as strengths. When you stop trying to fit into roles that contradict your archetypal nature and start creating a life that honors who you really are. If this resonated with you, if you recognized yourself in these archetypal patterns, hit that like button right now. Your engagement tells me that you're ready for deeper psychological insights. The research I've shared today is just the surface of what Jung discovered about archetypal psychology and blood type patterns. There are specific strategies for each blood type to optimize relationships, career choices, and personal growth. There are shadow patterns to watch for and integration practices to develop. In the comments below, tell me your blood type and share one insight from today's video that hit you the most. Also, let me know what country you're watching from. I'm building a global community of people who understand that psychological authenticity is the key to true fulfillment. Next week, I'm revealing the specific relationship patterns for each blood type, why certain combinations create instant chemistry while others lead to inevitable conflict, why some blood types are naturally compatible while others require conscious effort to work together, and most importantly, how to use this knowledge to create relationships that honor everyone's authentic nature. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell because this information will change how you see every relationship in your life. People like us understand that surface-level compatibility isn't enough. We need connections that honor our deepest psychological truth. Your blood type archetype is calling you to live more authentically. Are you ready to answer?